What's going on, everyone? In today's video, we have some very interesting things to cover. The market just boomed to the upside today, and stocks all across the market from a bunch of different industries rocketed to the upside. So in today's video, we're going to go over some of the best setups for tomorrow, the most important information you need to know, and towards the end, we actually have some very crazy new updates, especially from the murder of Bobby Lee from the other week. So definitely make sure to stick with us. But Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, it was a very crazy day in the market overall, and we got that big blast to the upside. Like you said, that was a lot of positive price action coming in, especially following all that negative price action from the FOMC minutes yesterday and the CPI. Remember, they actually talked about a possible recession, or mild recession, I should say, later this year. And what do? We fly up today, Mike. So fantastic, I guess. Looking at the calendar overall, I will say there wasn't much today. We had PPI come out. We have retail sales tomorrow, along with Michigan consumer sentiment. I don't really expect that to move the markets too much. I really expect these big bank earnings to play a big factor into the market, especially with how the banking sector has been insane over the past few weeks. So tomorrow, we have JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, PNC, and BlackRock all reporting for the banks. JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo are definitely going to be on the watch list, Mike. BlackRock is huge as well, but man, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, some of the biggest bank stocks you can have out there.
Every single morning, one of the first things I do is check and see what news is happening in the markets and, what the market is doing in pre-market, you can say. Tomorrow before open, the first thing you should check are bank stocks. Like Tom said, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, to name a couple of them. Check them and see how they are moving. Depending on their earnings, that can completely set the tone tomorrow. So definitely check that before open. Now, on a different side of things, Tom, we cannot ignore the explosive upside price action of today. SPY was on a rocket ship to the upside all day long. And if we look at the heat map, some of the main contributors to this uptrend were some of these big tech stocks like Google, Meta, and Apple. But one specifically that really stood out to me was actually Amazon. The stock is up almost 5% today, and this is coming as they actually have some pretty big news on how they are set to capitalize off of this giant AI, hype train, but also opportunity. So we all know ChatGPT has been game-changing in a lot of different ways. There's going to be a lot of opportunity with artificial intelligence overall over the next couple of years, and as long as we can look out in the future. And a lot of these big tech giants like Alphabet and Microsoft and Amazon and a bunch of others are looking to capitalize on that opportunity. And Amazon actually had some pretty nice updates today.
Yeah, they really did. They had a bunch of updates with their AI developments. And I will say, looking at it overall, it seems like they're really starting to join into that AI race. And today was a big announcement for them. Some of the keys that I saw from some of the articles today, obviously we're on the Wall Street Journal right now, was that they actually saw a lot of big things going on for businesses. And I thought that this was very interesting, Mike, compared to a lot of the other AIs out there. Like obviously ChatGPT can be good for businesses and etc. But it's awesome to see like this, I will say paragraph right here, where they say that their AI will be more suited for businesses because it can be trained only on a customer's data, says an internal cache of documents, rather than the broader set of web pages that other models use and stuff like that. It can make it a safer choice for businesses that are nervous their private data could end up shared and mixed with other companies. What have we been seeing right now going through the headlines? Baba getting in trouble a lot, obviously. Other companies, obviously, having a lot of issues right now with user data overseas. And that could be a big thing for AWS right now, is they could kind of, secure some privacy there. So I really like this, Mike. They're joining that AI race. And as we know, the AI industry and sector lately has been on fire with Google, Microsoft, and plenty of other companies. We even have ticker symbol AI out there too.
True that. And I think what really separates Amazon is that they're in a very unique position in the sense that they have such a dominant role in like the cloud industry as it is. AWS or Amazon Web Services is such a dominant player in just like the cloud computing industry, and that will give them a huge advantage when it comes to one, selling their AI and just letting it be used, but also when it comes to like other things like just the infrastructure they already have built and more efficient and just better chips to actually train these AI models and then make it so their customers can use them in a nice and easy way. So that's very interesting. And another thing that I thought was super interesting is how AWS or Amazon is actually pushing their service Code Whisperer, which can actually generate and fix computer code, and this is going to directly compete with Microsoft's GitHub Copilot software, which is pretty similar. But yeah, very interesting stuff across the board.
Yeah, it really was. And that was a big move today out of Amazon. Like you said, Mike, like it's not every single day that Amazon goes up 4.6%. That was a humongous move. The average percent that they've risen up over the past year is 1.87%. So to see them rise up 4.67% was fantastic. And what even made me more impressed was the velocity that they went up with, and they blasted above that key $100 resistance, which I thought that they would honestly hit at and maybe start to trade back down at today. But, we got right back above there, and plenty of other stocks like Apple and plenty of others are also ripping to the upside today.
Exactly. And go to AI's chart for 1 second on the daily chart. This artificial intelligence hype is not something to bet against, at least right now. Anything to do with like AI and just stuff like that lately has been really booming. So maybe this news can invigorate a new uptrend with Amazon. We will see, but it's very interesting nonetheless. And the market is definitely liking this type of news lately.
Yeah, it really is. All these AI stocks have been really blasting up. And, even Google and other stocks did pretty well today. Like, look at them. They were actually blasting up too. And that's just part of what played into that heat map looking so amazing today. Like, even Tesla did great. And it wasn't even just AI stocks. Like, look at Disney today, also up 2.96%.
Of course. So, Tom, the other week we talked about the unfortunate and brutal murder of Bobby Lee, which is actually the co-founder, no, he's the founder of Cash App, and there was some very interesting news that came out today. So initially, when we saw this news, you would think that, maybe he got murdered by like some homeless guy or, who knows, right? But it turns out that the main suspect right now was actually another tech entrepreneur in the San Francisco area, which is very crazy. So it looks like the main suspect's name right now is Nima Momeni, and apparently him and Bobby Lee knew each other. So very interesting, and I'll tell you, I was not expecting this type of headline.
Yeah, me either. I mean, it's very rare that you see a, tech entrepreneur, give up everything to go do something crazy like this. So I don't know what was going on between these two. I don't know if they had some beef, Mike. That is very, very, though, insane to see today. And I just cannot believe that it was another tech entrepreneur. Like you said, I would have expected maybe a homeless guy, maybe some, gang thing going on, just somebody who wanted money even, just as a random happenstance. But, it was another tech entrepreneur. So definitely a crazy headline. And I just cannot believe it, Mike. Like, look at it here. I mean, here's pictures of him. This is Bob Lee and this is Nima, I guess, here on the left. But pretty crazy to see. I just, cannot believe that it was another tech entrepreneur. And guys, that's no joke. This is one of the founders of, Cash App, which is pretty much the main thing that Square's behind right now.
Exactly. So interesting stuff there. Pretty crazy. But Tom, on a different note, some relevant things to know about, just the market right now is some of this hype with these cryptos. Like, MARA, well, MARA's not a crypto, but they move up with cryptos. So like MARA and like RIOT have really been booming to the upside lately. They're up like 10% and they've just been really running. Bitcoin didn't really move too much today, but Ethereum sure did. They actually had a pretty nice upgrade today. But overall, like MARA and RIOT are starting to move to the upside in a pretty big way. I would say they actually have the most hype and bullish momentum in the market this week out of like any other industry.
I would agree with that. 15% is no joke. And look at some of these other moves from Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, MARA was actually hitting lows around $7.70 or $8. So to see them all the way up around $11.50 to $11.60 now is just insane. And these cryptos have been really flying up. I saw somebody say something in the chat today that really caught my eye. And that's maybe that, maybe all this talk about trying to get away from the US dollar is potentially helping some of these cryptos go up. But at the end of the day, I just cannot believe the momentum we're seeing between Ethereum and Bitcoin. Like, I know Bitcoin didn't really move today, but when you look at it on a weekly basis, man, it's been flying up since Monday.
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of great momentum with it. But Tom, it's now time to get into some setups for tomorrow. One stock I've been watching very closely is CRSP. And Tom, we actually covered this stock on March 27th. So definitely make sure to go to the daily chart because on March 27th, we talked about this stock to the upside because the big money dumped $1.2 million into calls for this stock. What do you know? It's up 16% today. So this is pretty big. I'm definitely watching CRSP to the upside. The big money's still in it. And I think the setup does look pretty good, and it basically does whatever it wants. Look in the top right. The correlation with CRSP to the S&P 500 is basically zero, and that's exactly what you want to see in this market. So I'm definitely looking at it to the upside over the short term.
I really like that as well for the short term. It's a therapeutics company. It's probably going to move off of some crazy news, and as of right now, we're getting a lot of momentum today, up 16%. So I like this a lot, Mike. I actually drew a nice green arrow to like right where the big money was buying this at. I will say with that move today, seems like they are definitely in the driver's seat. So I will definitely keep this one on the radar for tomorrow. With my first play, I'm actually going to look at Tesla. Now, this one I feel like could go either way. We did have a big recovery back to the upside today, and we had almost a perfect, I'm not going to say a double top, but we had a perfect high of day here right around 186.50. If we can break above that tomorrow, I will definitely watch for a recovery back up with some calls, potentially back up to that high of Wednesday in pre-market, maybe around 190 or so. If we fall under 184.50, I will be watching for some puts to the downside. Tesla is definitely a volatile stock right now, and it's definitely on a nice uptrend. It was one of those big stocks that helped the market actually climb up today in a big way.
There we go. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is CCJ. This is a uranium play, and it's pretty good in the sense that it also just does whatever it wants. It doesn't really have that strong of a correlation to the S&P 500, and like I said, it just does whatever it wants. I do like this stock to the upside, especially with the recent price action, so I'll be watching it pretty closely. There's a little bit of resistance overhead right around like that $26.75 zone, but if we break through that, I think there's a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah, I like this one as well, and my next play is very similar on GLD. So, CCJ is a uranium stock, GLD is a gold stock. I mentioned this one yesterday as potentially being a good stock for today if the CPI, went, against us and that momentum kept going down. I will say with the market rocketing up, GLD kind of followed along today, especially early on, and it did hold up pretty well too. So I'll be watching this one for a break above the high of day, right around 190.50. I think that GLD and a lot of these commodities, like you mentioned, like CCJ or just even stocks that deal with commodities could end up being pretty well here over the next few days.
All right, good stuff. Well, with that being said, Tom, it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have Amazon to the upside.
AMZN right around 102.50. That's a huge resistance from this week, so go ahead and make them break above right there.
All right, with the next one, we have NVIDIA to the downside.
NVDA, honestly, they've been sitting right around this big support recently, around 263. Make them break right below there. That'll be an awesome support here for tomorrow.
And last but not least, we have Alibaba, and we need both directions.
Baba. So honestly, that was a pretty insane move today. If they could break above 97.30, watch for a move to the upside. But if they end up falling under 95, watch for a push back down.
All right, good stuff. So you guys heard Tom. We have that downside level for Baba as well as that upside level. If it breaks above the upside level, we're looking at it for a day trade up. If it breaks below the downside level, we're looking at it for a day trade down. Don't forget about that downside level on NVDA. And do not forget about that upside level on AMZN. But Tom, it is now time for the big money trade of the day. We had $2.62 million go into, and this one's pretty whack, $2.62 million into NKLA, Nikola. We have not talked about this stock in a while, and I'm surprised they are not bankrupt yet, like officially like delisted and everything. So for those of you who don't know, this company was like involved in like a giant fraud a couple years ago. Right now the stock is trading for like around like 97 cents. At its peak, it was trading for $94 each, and it's extremely volatile, and it's been very bearish and very suspicious ever since it was listed. So here's the thing. $2.62 million went into the Nikola two-strike call options that expire on January 17th of 2025. This is interesting because, you know, like the stock is very oversold, but then again, it's oversold for a good reason. But again, like there's so much time to this. So it's like, there's no way anyone would be shorting these calls, in my opinion. I think the realistic options with this is, you know, someone's buying these calls for like a speculative play, high risk, high reward. Like most likely it won't win, but if it does, it'll be like a grand slam. Or it could be like if someone's shorting the stock and they're just like buying the calls to hedge.
Yeah, I will say it definitely seems like a hedge or something like that. And like you said, with the time, it's hard to say that they're shorting those. Initially, whenever we first saw this, I actually thought like, hey, they're shorting those because that's very out of the money right now considering where we are. But with these EV stocks, you never know. You know, if we get some big news come out with them or something like that, they could have some insane blast to the upside, and you never know what that news could be. They could announce a new vehicle. They could announce that the government was giving them some funding. They could announce a big investor like Ford or Warren Buffett even. I'm not saying that I don't want to put Buffett under the bus there. I think I just disrespected Warren Buffett, Mike. I shouldn't have even mentioned him in the same sentence as Nikola, but nonetheless, it's a crazy company. Personally, I would not follow this trade, Mike, but this is a crazy one to say the least, and it has a lot of time. So if you do feel like getting it, just keep in mind, you know, you're going to be holding it for a little while.
In some ways, I'm tempted to trade it, Tom, because it's like yes, like the company's whack, but it's like at the same time, we would not be talking about this $2.6 million trade. You know, like no one would have bought this just for like a random reason, you know, like part of me thinks, you know, maybe there's like I don't want to say short squeeze, but some type of event that could be released with this, you know, like this company is so manipulated where it's like, I kind of look at this setup as like a little bit better than like a lottery ticket, you know, I'm not a gambler, but sometimes with like high risk, high reward setups like this, sometimes I do get entertained by them. So I'm actually just going to keep a close eye on it. No moves just yet, but I would not be surprised if at some point, somewhat soon, we see some news come out, no matter what it might be. Just something that has potential to generate some hype. But yeah, very, very unique and interesting big money play of the day.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's a lot of money going into this one as well. You know, it's not like that's just you know, a couple 100,000. That's 2.6 million. So a lot of money here. Like you said, hopefully it's a home run for them, but man, it's going to be a crazy play to watch develop. And, you know, like you said, there's a lot of manipulation with this stock. Who knows? Maybe they'll roll another truck down a hill, Mike. Maybe that'll be all they need to get another 300% back up.
Oh my, yeah, honestly though. Like that's the thing though. It's like with these highly manipulated companies, those are the best ones to trade when it comes to the big money plays. Like it's like, yeah, like if you have like someone putting like a couple $1 million into like some Apple calls or whatever, like, sometimes that can be good, but realistically, no one's going to be manipulating Apple stock price, at least with, a couple $1 million call play. But like when it comes to like some crap shady stock like Nikola, there is opportunity to, see manipulation. And, if you can track the flow the right way, you can capitalize off of it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Nikola better get on their high horse, Mike, because look at this. They're actually falling under $100. They're going to have some listing, or I mean, $1 a share. They're going to have some listing issues soon if they don't fix things around here.
True that. So, Tom, I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. We have bank earnings, we have some stocks running up, and I think we're set for some good moves. Do you have any last minute thoughts or anything else you're looking at?
Yeah, just keep your eyes on the banks. That's going to be a huge thing before the market opens. Definitely watch that in pre-market. We're probably going to see a crazy swing in the market. On the SPY here, really watch this high of day here, really close to 414. If we end up breaking above that, I feel like we could continue. That was a very strong move today, and a lot of these tech stocks started breaking some pretty good highs.
There we go. Just a quick reminder, if you guys like the video and you are not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. When you do, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. And last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Salim718 in the chat. You've been in the chat for around 6 months now, and you've been especially active over the past couple of weeks. So definitely make sure to keep it up and keep up the great activity and messages overall. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's end the week strong.